Welcome to Cooking with Heart for Cancer Class 3. So can you believe it? We're halfway over. And today you're gonna see the rainbow coming to life today in one of our dishes. And we're gonna do did everybody get the recipe? I didn't know if I printed enough. We got a full class today. I love it. The monkey cauliflower. I don't know if that's the best title for it, but you tell me after today, because I like to name. There actually is research that naming foods fun titles actually helps them. Okay, so it drives me crazy with these boring titles that a lot of them do. So unless you're like me, like you just love everything, like you're like, oh, broccoli, what's it? So we find that actually naming is a really big convention in enticing people. So I try. Okay, so today we're going to talk about inflammation. So I'm going to raise the veal on that and meal planning. So now I often hear from people, they get home and they've had a long day, they're 30 minutes behind what they thought they'd get home. They're really knackered and they want to put something that had, a plan for putting something together that's going to bring them the health that they've been working on, maybe from this class, maybe from something they've seen online. And they're just all spent. And it's, you're like, I really want to do this, but I just don't have the energy and I'm hungry and others are hungry. So the pizza in the freezer is very tempting. And so it's totally understandable if you go for the pizza. So with some meal planning techniques, we can maybe have something ready that isn't going to take much energy, thought, or anything like that. So that's what we want to talk about today. Okay, so next week, our final week, we're going to explore tofu. I do wait until the last class because most people, come on in, John, are a little hesitant to try tofu. And I'm here to tell you, I've been doing it for years, like decades. So I have the advantage of having some family members that grew up with tofu like nothing was big deal. So I will tell you more about that next week. We have the easiest ever recipe with it, like totally, like it's the easiest ever tofu recipe.
Get to mention it next week. I brought it up in the cardiac class long ago when I had breast cancer. It was said that tofu was bad for breast cancer, so I have avoided the soy products.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we will go into that next week because cancer is the topic here. We'll cover soy because that is a concern that's brought up many times by healthcare workers, people in the healthcare industry, and people that have been touched by cancer. So we'll uncover that, and I'll go more in depth so that you're more informed and can make your own decision. And then we'll do coleslaw with an Asian fling to it. So it's got a real nice sauce to it. Big thank you to Gilda's Club. So Gilda's Club is fantastic. Many of you I know have taken advantage of their resources. Please do. They are here to serve, and they've got so many resources. So for any people touched and families and anything like that. Trinity Health Foundation also supports these classes, so a big thank you to them. Okay, so before tackling meal planning, I want to really go a little more in depth than you've probably been before in inflammation. So the thing with inflammation is that, doctors, they don't hand out a diagnosis of inflammation. There's no walk for inflammation, no cause, no ribbon for inflammation. Yet, diseases related to inflammation are the single most significant cause of mortality, accounting for half of the deaths worldwide. So it's something that's really important to delve into and really understand, wrap your head around in a little more depth. So I'm going to share my screen here. I've got some slides to help us get through this. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay. So when we hear the word inflamed, we think of maybe red, fiery fire. That's good. Okay. That really actually represents what's going on with inflammation to some degree. So let's talk a little bit about your immune system. That's really the key player when we talk about inflammation. So your immune system is how your body handles attacks against bacteria, viruses, and heals from injuries that you have, foreign substances. So when your body is angry at an invader or some type of injury, it has detected, say, maybe a bacterial infection, a sprain, a cut, then its first, or what we call immune response, that's the first response, is to send platelets to get rid of the invader, and followed closely by white blood cells. And they swoop in there and they do some fighting and some cleanup there, and sweep up the debris that's there. And that could be bacteria or toxins or broken proteins from the tissues that got damaged. It could be from physical injury, some damages there, or bacterial. So then you usually get some redness, some pain, maybe even warmth. And that signals that there's an inflammatory response going on. So you might have pain, and that also is telling you that there's an inflammatory response. These are all signs that your body is fighting some believed bad guy or maybe an injury, and so it's healing. So it's repair, it's protecting, cleaning up, and repairing. So examples of healing might be a scab that on a cut from yourself, from maybe a dull knife that you were using, maybe a bump in your head that you whacked because you had a cupboard that was open that you didn't see.
I'm not the only one.
Yes, all the time. Maybe you get a sore throat in the midwinter, and that's a sign that your body's actually healing, okay? That's pain brought on by your immune response. So telling you that you've got some type of infection going there. So this acute response, we call it acute inflammation response, takes 3 to 5 days. So it's the first responder, essentially. Now, chronic or what we call unhelpful inflammation is dangerous and has the same chemical messengers as the acute inflammation response. But the difference is the amount of messengers and the length of time that they're activated or stick around that makes them chronic, okay? So they've got the same ingredients, it's just a little different mix. It's lower amount of some of these chemicals, and they stick around longer. So, and it's a dangerous condition sometimes labeled as systemic inflammation. How many of you heard that word before, systemic? Okay. So these white blood cells, you know, your body, when it has an invader and when it detects that something's awry, an injury, it's going, that acute response sends strong chemicals. Think of it like, you know, soft for a bleach or, you know, ammonia or something. It's strong stuff that's really going to bombard it. Your acute response is usually an overkill to some degree because it's really trying to contain what's going on there. Now, there's a more exact response that happens after 3 to 5 days when everything's going right. That's more strategic. We're not going to get so much into that because that's not what happens with chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is kind of like you get stuck in a very low grade in that first acute response. And just keep in mind that the acute response, it's kind of like, and I used to, when I used to give talks, I have a target board with all kinds of pebbles out of it. And that's the whole target board. That's your acute response, is when you hit just all over the board. Okay. So it's really trying to just get a grip on what's going on. Whereas the next response, when your body is healing properly, is a little more strategic. It hits that bullseye because it's had time to kind of figure out what's going on. But that 3 to 5 days, that first 3 to 5 days, you are just trying to keep yourself safe. You're trying to get this under control, not let it grow too big real quick. So your body has these chemicals it releases that are dangerous, can be, that actually can break down your tissue. And that's what happens So here we go. Acute inflammation. You know it's healing somewhere. Redness, swelling, and pain. This is a positive. This is a healthy kind. Happens quickly and subsides in 3 to 5 days. It should. And then the next response takes over. So, but in chronic inflammation, we get what we see is there is really an acute inflammation response, but at a really low level, almost undetectable. We really don't have good like tests to detect that it's going on there. So what happens is this endless loop that these chemicals that are used in the acute phase are turned on your body, on healthy tissue. So you're breaking down your good tissue. Now your body says, oh my goodness, we've got an invader. So let's go get them. So you have this loop of you're breaking yourself down, and it's a very low grade level. It takes a long time, but it's happening, and you're breaking down healthy tissue, and then you're trying to heal it. But when your body gets there to heal, it goes, there's not really what we expected to be here. So it kind of gets in trouble. It kind of like, it's like being unemployed out, and you're like, well, let's just do something while we're here. So it does a little healing possibly to some of the tissue that it's broken down, but it's also looking for other things to do. So we're still trying to understand everything going on. But like, for example, heart disease. All the chronic diseases have inflammation that contribute to it. Heart disease, what happens is these inflammatory response that is really responding to a mistake. It gets there and it's unemployed and bored, and they stay in the blood vessels to kind of ward off what they see there. So they create plaque by thinking they're warding off a bad guy, and they're contributing to the problem. And then it sends signals back to send more guys. So it's a slow process, okay? It's not a 3 to 1 day to 7 day kind of process. This happens over months and years. That's going very pretty much undetected. So, you know, so it's a mistake of identity there. So, and so this inflammatory response, in addition to some of the things that when you go to my foundational class, I talk about, you have this inflammation also building up. Okay, we talk about if you have high triglycerides, high LDL, especially the small dense, stuff like that, that you hear in my foundational class. But then you also have this low-grade inflammation response that's confused, and it's creating injury, and then coming back and saying, oh, we need to heal and ward off, and it's contributing to it. So we do have a test called, a lab test called C-reactive protein. The problem is C-reactive protein goes up with any kind of infection or response, inflammatory response. So if you have a cold or you're coming down with a cold, that's going to be up. Okay, that'll be up when you're going under cancer treatment. So, you know, so is it the inflammation or is it something else? We don't know. We don't have that kind of as exact science. So, you know, the bottom line is your body is sending out the cavalry with a mistaken communication there, and they get bored. And these are dangerous chemicals, okay? And they break down our healthy tissue, and then we go to heal, and we get this loop just keeps getting miscommunicated about what's going on. So it leads to heart disease, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis in particular, inflammatory bowel disease, diabetes, cancer. And we don't know where inflammation is going to hit in your body. It might hit in all those, and it might hit in specific areas, the arteries, the joints, the brain, the DNA. All those things can be affected by inflammation. 1 in 5 cancers is believed to be caused heavily by inflammation. The strongest are the colon and the bowel that we know of right now. So it damages DNA, inflammation does. And that's one of the contributors to cancer. Now, the kicker is there's no classic symptoms of inflammation. That's why your doctor doesn't write out a diagnosis. Instead, you get things like body aches that might be, maybe fatigue, maybe changes in mood, maybe heartburn, brain fog, memory problems, new digestive issues, getting hangry frequently, your blood pressure creeping up. So, we really don't have enough details to know what's going on with any of these. Okay, so these are very vague. So we know, chronic inflammation with lifestyle is in particular going to be contributing. So here's some of the things to watch out for. Okay, so excess weight. Now I want to dig into a little more why excess weight, because it really irritates me when we just throw out the word excess weight, because there really is vast differences between healthy and non-healthy excess weight on your body. And some people have healthy excess weight, okay? And there's no way of visually understanding this. So, and people can look visually like they're not carrying excess weight and they're carrying excess bad stuff, okay? So we're seeing more and more of that. So two things happen here. Your fat or adipose tissue releases inflammatory chemicals, okay? So that's where having excess adipose tissue, but in particular, belly fat has the most dangerous. So, and it has an anti-inflammatory protein called adiponectin. So just think of this dangerous fat that releases these dangerous chemicals. That's what we're in particular we're concerned about. So it's called the visceral fat. That is definitely the most dangerous by far. Stress. Stress is associated with cortisol. And when we get kind of that tiger fight or flight response, our immune system is partially to fully depressed. Because your body says, if I have to fight a tiger or run from a tiger, I want every ounce of my energy going to that fight of my life. And that means I don't need to worry about viruses or bacteria. So it turns that off or down. So the other thing is that cortisol also contributes to inflammation. It increases blood pressure and other things in your body. So, looking at managing stress, there's different ways: abdominal breathing, self-compassion, taking time for yourself, walks, being in nature, meditating, having coping skills, having passions. Those are all things, hobbies that you love. So sleep. When you're running on a sleep deficit, the hormone cortisol breaks down more slowly, we find. Okay, so you got stress and sleep deprived. Whoa. Okay, you're going to have contributors to inflammation. We also see poor quality sleep. We see more markers of pro-inflammatory in somebody's system. And I know it's catch-22, because as you get up there in age, it just doesn't work the same, sleep. Okay, so, but do what you can. There are a lot of things you can do to get better sleep. Okay, and I'm guilty of not always implementing those. So exercise, just 20 minutes a day increases your anti-inflammatory cytokines, okay? And the pro-inflammatory compounds from working muscles decreases those. So just 20 minutes. So food, let's go a little bit more into that. So fish suppresses making pro-inflammatory eicosanoids and stimulates making anti-inflammatory eicosanoids. So basically it's increasing the stuff you want, decreasing the stuff you don't want. So they do lots. This is super anti-inflammatory. Eating the rainbow. We talked last week about that, but really helps with that flame of inflammation, putting that out, and the antioxidants, quelling those. So really important that, are you getting 2 colors a meal, 3 or more a day? So vitamin E is a really big anti-inflammatory. So especially in plants, there's different forms of vitamin E. It's a little confusing, but they're amazing anti-inflammatory properties. Nuts, seeds, and avocado. I pretty much have everyday nuts and almost everyday avocado. So just a little bit. So probably 4 times a week. And tonight, I'm having avocado toast. Okay, that's an easy meal, and you'll find that in the meal planning we'll talk about as a possible quick meal. So seeds, I could probably do a little better. I get flaxseed every morning, but I could probably do a little better with that. But these are really, you don't need large amounts, tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of the nuts. I really encourage 1 to 2 tablespoons of nuts a day. So not more, unless, I don't know, but I know it's easy to go overboard. So an avocado, you don't need to be doing a whole avocado, just some. Okay, polyphenols. This is a really big class of the phytochemicals that we've talked about. There's over 8,000, and they fight inflammation really well. That's green tea, no surprise there. Cocoa, yum, yum. Blueberries, okay. And I forgot, John, I'll have you share your tip once we get done here. Flaxseed, olive oil, the extra virgin, of course. Grapes, apples, pear, cherries, red wine, coffee, lots of things there. And then there's a lot of seasonings there. They protect from ultraviolet radiation and pathogens. So really, really great to do. So, okay. So these are all the things we want to eat more of. So, I took out my slide about what not to eat. Okay. Because I don't even like emphasizing what you should avoid, but we'll go through quickly. What do you think? What do you think is probably not good for inflammation? Processed food, not specifically salt, but it probably is in processed food. Processed meats, really big, like star that 3 to 5 times. Okay. So if you can at least start doing less, but really, it's just processed meats so bad. They're actually a listed carcinogen on the World Cancer Organization. Saturated fat in animal, in particular, we find that that's more anti-inflammatory. Refined carbohydrates, without the fiber, without the whole food, and then high sugar concentration processed foods. And then any sharp increase, decrease in blood sugar. This is a lesser known one. In my diabetes class, I really emphasize that. But whether you have diabetes or not, it doesn't matter. Okay. You can have normal blood sugar, but if you go steep climb up, steep drop, then especially regularly, that's actually contributing to inflammation, we find. So, and speaking of which, on Mother's Day, my daughter made for me French toast from white bread. I don't know how long it's been since I've had French toast like that, but she's like, there's egg in it. I'm like, okay, yeah. It was like a half an hour later, I was starving. So I was like, and the whole day I was a little off because I did not have my big bowl of oatmeal with cocoa and blueberries and walnuts. So, but it was a wonderful gesture that she's like, out of the kitchen, Mom, can't come in the kitchen. So it was very nice. So I did enjoy it. So, but I really could tell my blood sugar was probably going way up, way down. So, okay. So now, let's go to menu planning. So first of all, it's menu planning to succeed. And I know it takes time, investment, energy. So do it at a time where you're not exhausted. Okay. Plan the time. Okay. At first, don't plan 5 minutes. You will get it down to 5 minutes. But the first couple times that you plan, make it relaxing, have some tea with it and put on some music. But again, make it enjoyable and make it a time where you have energy, because it's going to take some decision making, especially the first couple times you get organized. It is trial and error. I'm not going to give you, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be perfect for everybody here in the room. The systems out there are great. You see the pictures of them stacked meals, and I'm like, wow. So, if that works for you, great. So, but you probably will find it'll work for a certain amount of time, and then you have to switch it up. So just be ready for switching things up. So our life changes, and we actually incorporate some new rich, healthy habits. So, okay. So first thing is double and freeze when you can. I usually try and double at 1 meal a week. If you want to try every other week, just, look at the menu. Usually you haven't even thought, I could easily double that. So, and I usually make a little note on my menu sheet then, so that I use it within 2 to 3 weeks. What's horrible is making a double meal and then you find out 3 months later, you're like, in here and I never used it. Now I need to dump it. So, or have a list going of what's in the freezer, something, some way to trigger yourself. Okay. You're not going to remember. Just assume you're not going to remember that it's there. You can put it in a certain place in the freezer. Those things might work too, but nothing like a reminder that you've got that in there. So it's a time, it's, you know, it saves dishes, it saves time, mental energy. Okay. So
fresh vegetables and everything. I really think things would freeze.
Certain meals are going to, like today, the tomato sauce, you can make a double of that.
Okay.
So
a portion of it.
You can in some cases, or the whole thing.
Okay.
The cauliflower is going to be steamed today. It'd be fine to heat it up, especially in little portions. So, you know, it might not be as beautiful as we're going to do the head.
Sure.
Pick it off. But
myself, who cares?
Yeah. So just start thinking. It is true that you are good when you freeze, you're going to break down some of the cell wall. And then, but use that to your advantage. So add some more seasonings to it, do something. So some quick meals. So I like to make it kind of fun. So there's all kinds of things out there for quick meals, but toast, like tonight, I'm going to have toast. It's going to be Ezekiel bread. Okay. So it's not anything on the shelf in the grocery store. It's in the frozen food section. Ezekiel bread or Daniel are the, you know, best ones with sprouted with 7, you know, they're harsh. If you let them, you know, thaw, they are solid, you know, they're not doughy and you can't mush them to this little piece. So, so toast works really well for them. I mean, you know,
sprouted grains.
Yes, those kind of things. So, you can add avocado, tahini, hummus, those sort of things to it, nuts to it, seeds to it. You know, usually I'll do avocado with lettuce and tomato and then some sprinkling of some nuts on there. My combination of things there. Then with a, you know, a salad on the side, very easy to make with the mixed salad bags and whatever I have in the refrigerator, I just throw on. Wraps and tacos, super easy then. That's a good thing for the end of the week for using whatever you've used that you have leftover. I do that a lot. And you can add, again, avocado, hummus, sweet onion dressing that we did in the rainbow, fish with lime, a more softer fish, and with lime, just bake it for 15 minutes. And then, or you can do a canned salmon.
Lime on.
Yep. For whenever I'm doing for tacos, it's just squeeze lime, usually just lime.
Just bake it with lime on it.
Yeah. And then I usually just like whip it with a fork and it's kind of like, it hardly even looks like fish, but the kids will just scoop it. We'll just scoop up and I just make a stuffing line.
Parchment paper and all the juice, she would just have lime on it and
Yeah.
that would.
Yep. I just squeeze a lime on it and that. So yeah. So that will get rid of some of the, you know, that the lime helps clean it up. You do lemon too. So using corn tortillas typically for the tacos, we haven't had a chance here, but corn is better than flour. If you do the flour, it's the flour cautions because it's a more processed food. But the Tomorrow's is one there. But the corn tortillas and the brand that I recommend is called Mi Mama's. It's in the refrigerated section. Corn tortillas don't hold together as well, but when I make fish tacos with the, you know, you just overflow and then you eat it. And with the corn tortillas, the Mi Mama's hold pretty good if you don't let them set too long. You know, jarred salsa, you can, so all kinds of ideas there. So you can do some of the other wraps that we talked about on the rainbow, the rice wrap, the seaweed, those kind of things. Bowls are easy, super easy bowls. You've got on the bottom of your grain, farro we're going to do today. It takes a little more time, farro, so you might want to do that and freeze it. But of course, quinoa, brown rice. Do watch with the brown rice. I noticed there's, you know, in the box is the brown rice like this minute. I haven't opened this. Okay. But there's little cups of the brown rice, but they have salt added to them. Okay, they're supposed to be like you can microwave them. Be careful again. It looks just like this, but they're in little. I saw them in the store. I'm like, oh, cool. Then I looked at the label and I'm like, it's not the same as this. So this only takes 10 minutes to do. So, and then you can build it by putting lettuce or vegetables or little piles of vegetables in there. A lot of times I'll just put chopped up spinach. I always have a box spinach in my refrigerator, or lettuce, romaine. Just chop it up, put it on top of the grain. We're just not used to this. Okay, we didn't grow up with that. We usually had potatoes and meat and maybe a little bit of veggies, but we can layer this in a bowl. So, and then you can put your protein, which could be beans, it could be egg, it could be salmon, fish, something like that. There's the lentil bags. Shoot, that's in the other room. I'll grab that when we're tasting. Yes, you had a question, Bonnie.
Tempeh, you know, have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Cheese. I look for one.
Tempeh, it's hard to find, and a lot of people don't know how to use it. That's the only reason I don't do that in this class, because it's already like, it's kind of like already done tofu, but it's super hard, and it's got a grain fermented with it, with the soy, so it's got a little complexity there, but it's like rubber. So you have to steam it or loosen it up, and it's actually pretty plain part. So it needs some sauce, like tofu next week. So, but tempeh is a great protein. So it's just, it's a little further out there from, usually tofu is the first thing I introduce people to. So plates or boards, you can, have fun. These are, very hip right now, but you can do things like a Mediterranean themed one with olives and maybe some whole grain pita chips, hummus, grapes, cucumber. I mean, whole grain pita chips are not fantastic. They're still pretty processed, but I'm just trying to be creative, and you got a family to make it for. Mexican, you could do the blue chips with some mini bell peppers, some, tomato, avocado, orange slices. A lot of times I'll do fruits with the vegetables and then some proteins. You can do wasa crackers with lettuce and tomato and salmon and peaches, and there's just all kinds of great combinations you can make. So don't be afraid to try them out. So last night or a couple nights ago, we had pesto on toast with fresh mozzarella. So it was, pesto with kale, made with kale and walnuts. So it was a quick meal with the, vegetable on the side. So, these are things when you're not feeling like, I can't put together that whole meal. So these are quick things to have. So always have a shopping list. Storage containers, clear. Glass is great, but a little more expensive for some of us. So plastic, but make sure they're clear. I know my mom, she loves to collect all the plastic containers, all the lids, and it drives me batty because we can never find the lid when I'm over there putting things in containers. I don't know about you, but it drives me crazy. So I have just invested in, all the same kind of with exchangeable lids and that kind of thing. So it just makes it easy, and that few seconds of frustration so that you can put things in. So make it easy on yourself. Easy to stack really helps. Have fun. There's a lot of steps to this. So have fun. It's really, really important. Just do one step, planning 2 meals in the next week. There's a swap chart in the binder. Use that to healthanize your recipe. And I really do recommend having a master meal list. I kind of have 2. I have one for all my recipes, and then I have the ones that I'm actively using. Okay. Sometimes, in my life, sometimes I need quicker meals and kid-friendly meals. And sometimes I got the time and space to do more involved meals. So that's, so I'll have a list that has that. Right now, my list is pretty quick meals and stuff. So I got 2 kids at home right now. So, so usually 15 to 20 on a list that you're going off of is about what you need. It's about making the decisions easier. When you have a list of all your recipes and you've got 70 recipes and you're scanning through there trying to find the perfect recipe for next week, you're going to drive yourself crazy, and it's going to take extra long. Yes.
What do you do with your recipes? That's one thing I've got trouble with. Do you put them on index cards or?
Whatever works for you. I've done all kinds of systems. Okay, I've rewritten them by hand. I put them in plastic things that do 4 on a page. I've clipped them in binders so they're there, but make sure that the recipes that you're using to plan your meals, those are the ones there. You're not being distracted by the bigger list. Okay, So you can have, an area where all your recipes are, but put them in a folder or in a binder, or, write them on cards, whatever you do. But put those as the thing you're going to sit down whenever it is, Saturday morning, Friday night, and plan your menus. Make it really easy. Okay. So, end of week is when you have the meals that are like frittata and tacos and, just things that are easy to add in lots of different things. So the wraps are easy ones to add things at the end of the week, that whatever you have left. So if you're starting out, you've got to get the ingredients in your house. So starting to, put things that you can make these meals with, like the jarred red pepper and having the shredded carrots and, just things that are easy for you to make into things. So you can, make categories and themes, Fish Friday or Meatless Monday, that can ingest fun. That's up to you. Okay. Whatever works is quickest. Okay. This is about getting it done so that it serves you. So, and enjoying it. So, at one point in my life when the kids were really young, I had, no joke, calendars like this of 3 months of menus I rotated. I've given that up. Okay. So I really just go, I have the master list that I have all the recipes. I have another list that I am now currently planning off of. I've shaved off to the ones that the 2 kids at home really like, and me, a few of mine in there. And then I have a super quick list. I make sure I always have the ingredients for the super quick list. You need to have at least 4 dishes that you can make super quick, that the ingredients are all there. Either you put them all together in the pantry, or you have them on a list on a card in the refrigerator, so you can just do it. Okay. You will think of these things and be sharp when you're sharp, but when you're exhausted because your tank is empty for decision making, you're going to be like, what was that recipe that was so easy that sounded good? You're not going to think of it. You have to have it. Let's put it on the refrigerator, or put it on the side of the refrigerator if you like, to keep your refrigerator clean, but keep it somewhere where it's really easy to see what your quick meals is. 4 quick meals is your assignment in the next couple weeks, so that you make this doable. Okay. Just a little bit about some ways. You don't have to fill all these in. I don't want you to feel obligated to fill all those in. Okay. I'm just it's a reminder. You want to make sure you're trying to have 2 vegetables. Do they have to be separate? No. Sometimes if you have fish tacos, then you got vegetables in there. Okay. So, but it's just a reminder. I like the prep a lot. The prep is for the next day. Okay. So I look for the next day, what to prep. The whole grain, again, you can do that for the whole week. It's just supposed to be a tickler that you remind yourself that you want to have some whole grain a little bit. And think about prep, what you could do in the morning or the night before to make it so easy when you get home to make your meal. And make sure you try and get 1 to 2 vegetables. 2 is ideal, but work your way there from wherever you are right now. Okay. And sometimes, these columns in the 1 vegetable, 2 vegetable, I use one of them for picking up my 8th grader. Who's picking them up? Sienna, Gavin, me, use whatever. It should be a central thing on your refrigerator. So, you don't have to use all those columns, but, the entree I usually use there, the whole grain a little bit in the prep. So, but use it how, and then I'll write again off there what meals that are frozen. I'll write on the top right. That's my cue. I need to make sure I use those in the next 2 weeks. So, come up with your own system. Okay. So looking at action plan here, keep that in mind. So I'm going to go run and grab a couple things to show you. John, can you share your tip that you emailed me about, that you found from Costco?
Yeah, we went shopping after the last class and remembered a few things that we were looking for. Like we've got colorful wrap stuff all there at Walmart in Moline, and then we also were looking for blueberries, and they have the Walmart brand of blueberries in stock there, the wild blueberries. Yeah, at Moline Walmart last Tuesday. So, I mean, you don't see it very often. It was like $8 for 2.5 pound bags. So
Costco answer that it's.
we don't do Costco, but they usually, I hear they usually have them too. So yeah, that's what I did. Go figure out your book and ingredients, the shrimp, carrots and the purple cabbages. We had that several times and actually I did chicken for lunch with that wrap. It was awesome. We did that 3 times, I think, this time. We have grilled it on our grill. So that's what we had.
Thank you, John. Thank you. And I'd love to pause and have other sharings. What are other sharings? I didn't do that at the beginning. So what are other sharings and learnings? And the worksheet, oh, I forgot to explain. Okay, I switched gears a little bit with the worksheet. So, because I want to really emphasize the learnings, the things that you go away with. It doesn't matter how things go, if they go according to plan or not. Everything is a learning, period. That's it. And I want you to go away with those things. So on that worksheet, you take 2 of them. One of them, you know, for yourself, you don't have to write 2 copies of it. Just, I just want you to check off your action step so that you have a record so you can reflect the next time. So, but your learnings last week, you know, what sort of things I want you to think about. You're a different person than you were last week because of some of the conversations, the things you saw in the store or you thought about or drove on your way home and you didn't think about or you did, you know, all those things are learnings. So I really want you to start taking note of those things. Those are huge. Those are things that are changing you. So sharings. Yeah.
The guy in Hy-Vee fruit vegetable area about the purple grapes.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't have any. I said, you know, I was telling him about to buy us. And he said, well, we're getting black grapes in tomorrow. Purple grapes.
Grapes are pretty common. So, yeah. Well, yeah. So,
get ready for it.
yeah. Okay. Well, red are going to be great stuff. So get if when the blue is available, get the blue. Black is going to be great too.
Oh.
So I mean the blue purple. So yeah, no, yeah. So
I think it is the black, the really dark.
Yeah,
purple.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's what he's.
That's it. I'll double check into that, but they're all the
Okay.
color is going to tell you there's a lot in there. So yes. So that's going to be good. So, and I know Carolyn, I'll come. Bonnie.
Are really good frozen.
Oh, frozen. Is that your secret, Bonnie? Okay. Okay.
What do you do?
Yes.
I brush them. You want to train them? Freeze them and then just, they don't stick.
And so then we teach them, just saw them together, whatever.
Just eat them. Yeah.
Just eat them like they are.
Like.
Yes.
It's like a icy.
A sweet icy. Yes. Carolyn, what did you want to share?
Yeah, talked about green tea. You see this dashes, turmeric tea.
Oh, nice.
Dashes is a little expensive, but it's really dry. It's on
Yeah.
sale at Hy-Vee. So
Hy-Vee. Okay. I'll have to look for that.
It was, cinnamon, organic ginger, turmeric, orange peel, cardamom seed, and organic clove, but no pepper.
Okay.
So you can put a few.
So I would put a little peppers. I like that you're watching for that. So awesome. Okay.
It's a
Okay.
turmeric tea. It's organic, Gold Cup chai. She had a Gold Cup. It's a
Yeah.
mixture thing, but if you just wanted a tea bag, it's the Hy-Vee
Awesome.
or anywhere.
That's a great find, Carolyn.
Yeah, food stores do. But I think.
Yes, Carol.
Rainbow.
Wrap.
Stuff with the rainbow, we had like 3 meals out of it because I cut up too much. Next night.
Yes. Okay. Well, that was nice knowing you had a meal taken care of. So there you go. So, and there is a dietitian. She actually is a dietitian in Chicago that does a sports team too there. But she actually recommends Menu Monotony. So, and she's actually super, she like is a super like party girl. I call her a party girl kind of thing. She's super, but she really recommends like having 3 meals that you just make double and just, it's okay. Monotony is only boring if you make it boring. So, that's an idea there. So she really, and she works with a lot of clients, and she highly recommends just planning 3 meals and just using it throughout the week. So here's a couple things. Now, not all the Tasty Bites work as our criteria, but when you do a quick meal, you're probably going to be pushing one area a little bit out of our kind of guidelines. But in the end, it's better than doing a drive-through, something like that. So I have these, especially for the nights when I'm here late doing cooking class. The kids do it. They love this. The Madre lentils is really good. And what I do is I do a little bit of rice and then spinach or lettuce, again, on top, or you can do it on the bottom if you want that way. And then put this on. It's a bag. They come in bags like this. And depending on how many people in the family I'm doing it for, I'll do 1 or 2. You can do it in the microwave. I just do it in a boiling of hot water. It's what I have the kids do. Just put it in there. You just set it straight up. And like 6 minutes, it's done. You open it, everybody pours it over. So it's really simple.
What is the name of it?
It's this one's Chana Marsala. Our favorite one is, I like this one. The kids are not as crazy about this one. All the kids like this one. So it's the Madres lentils. So I know you can get these at Costco. You can usually get them at Hy-Vee. They're not too expensive. So again, that's a quick meal. I mean, this keeps for a while. So there you go. So, and then I just wanted to, I don't know if you know about these, but if you're traveling or if you're at an office space, these things are really cool. I've done these because I do media stints, and most of the media places around here don't have real kitchens. So if I want the announcer to taste the food, I want it to be hot, and it's very hard because you have to be there a half an hour ahead, and they have very limited capability. So I have this at home. It's really nice. It heats things up. It does take a little time, but if some of these dishes you want to do at work, a lot of people will use these to just heat up by the time you eat. So that kind of thing. Or if you're traveling and you just want something on the go. So these are pretty cool. This is from Trader Joe's. So it's pretty spicy, but it's actually only got 330 milligrams of sodium, no saturated fat, no added sugar. So, and you can definitely add some things to it. And it was good and easy. So it's really hard to find things, but they do exist. Just, don't get discouraged. So, and the last thing again is just have fun, make it a mind shift. I heard a podcast the other day, and this was somebody I follow that she was talking just about kind of life, and, she's raising 3 small kids, and, she's doing her own business and stuff. And she, makes time for everything. And she talked about, she doesn't think of things as work. She thinks of things as, I get to do this instead of I should do this. I am, I'm blessed to be able to do this. I'm excited to do this. So it might, at first, you might say that and might not take total effect, but just start looking at your language that you're using for things, especially things that you may not enjoy, you may kind of dread. So see if you can just find something that you like. Okay. The same goes for like exercise, movement, I like to call it, and, whatever you're doing. So if there's a part of what we're talking about, meal planning, that you're like, you never seem to do that because I just don't like sitting down and doing the planning. Well, make it fun. Okay. Candles, music, I don't care. Do it outside, do it in a coffee shop with a cup of tea, or, but find a way to make it fun and watch your language. So we might catch some things there. Okay, we do need to get going. I do have the farro going. Farro is an ancient grain, and we don't typically in the stores get full whole grain farro. We get a pearled farro. So there's a little bit gone from it. You'd have to order from, and this is from Hy-Vee, you'd have to order the whole grain from Red Bob's Mill. It still has a lot of nutrition in the pearled, that we have. The only reason this is really tricky with farro. The only reason it does say somewhere, sometimes it'll say pearled, but there's semi-pearled, pearled, and then whole grain. So this is organic pearled farro, which means it's pre-cooked a little bit stripped, but it's still got a lot of stuff. It's kind of a homey grain, you'll see. And I'm using what's called the pasta method. So some of these older grains, amaranth, there we go. You can do pasta or your regular kind of measure exactly what's going to be absorbed. But some of these older grains are pretty robust that you just boil them in water and then you drain it off. So, and this one you can actually, normally it's going to take about 45 minutes to cook if it's totally whole grain. It's going to take 25, around 30, let's just say 30 minutes. And that's what this one recommends. Look at what they recommend. And that tells you where it sits. So this one said, where is it? Basic instructions, 30 minutes. So it's, it's pearled. Now a less pearled one's gonna say 20 to 25, a little more stripped. Okay. So just know the cooking time is your only way you're gonna know how much stripped, because there's no guidelines for that. So, but I want you to just taste it. Again, switch things up, see if you like it. If not, brown rice or quinoa are good things, but it has a lot of great nutrition. 5 grams of fiber per serving. It's really, it is a wheat, so it has gluten. So, okay. So for the cauliflower, we're going to do that. I've got like a half an inch. Oops, let me switch my camera. I've got a half an inch of water in there. We're going to do it really easy. I like to make things easy and keep things from, getting gadgets and all kinds of stuff when I can. Where's the camera? There it is. Okay. So we're not even going to use a basket. Okay. So most of the time I do use a basket, but this recipe works out just fine. So, well, let me put my gloves on. So this, I already washed it off, but we're just going to trim the bottom of the stem just a little bit. And then I'm just going to set it in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of water. So, and use that to steam it. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit here. And then I can you don't have to, you can leave it if it's pretty. Just get a little bit off there, but we're going to use this in a sense to sit on this. Okay. So I'm just going to put it in there and I'm going to turn that. Oh, that's for the other dish. Okay, here we go. Here it is. Got all kinds of lids here. Okay, so we're going to just steam this for 10 minutes. So we are going to town. See, I'm on a 4 here and it's going like crazy. So
what sort of heat do you put under that? Just to steam it in a big pot?
Yeah, just like boiling. So
okay.
Yeah, so ideally you want, I do recommend getting like a medium and not a huge cauliflower, so that you can put the lid over it. So we're just going to do that for 10 minutes. So we're going to go over a little bit. Sorry about that. So, but we're going to make the sauce while that's going. So the sauce, the tomato sauce. So let me grab here. We've got all kinds of tremendous spices here. And we're just going to start off, I'm going to get the tomatoes ready, but while you're steaming that, you can just carefully put this together and just cook it. So I'm using the no added salt tomatoes, so saving 200 and some grams of sodium. So I'm going to use just a little bit of oil here, and actually the oil is to I'm going to take all the spices, okay? Name off the spices there. What are the spices?
Ginger, garlic, coriander, cumin, turmeric, salt, and sugar.
Okay, so lots of great spices. That we got the garlic, ginger, we got the turmeric, but what are we missing? Well, you could add that. What do we need to have with the turmeric?
Pepper.
Pepper. So write pepper down there. When I wrote this up, I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't write in pepper. So we added just a little bit of pepper, and I'm going to turn this down just a tad there. Okay, we're just going to, what we're gonna do first is just fragrant, bring out the different seasonings. So I'm just gonna put that in the oil there and just let it cook for like a minute. Okay? That way I'm gonna bring it out. All these seasonings have a little bit of oil. So we're gonna bring it out and let that use to our advantage, get it more fragrant before we add in the tomatoes. And then we're gonna add in the tomatoes and just let it cook. That's all there is to it. Got olive oil, seasoning, and tomatoes, and that's it. We got a lot of good seasoning there. So let me add the tomatoes. This cooks so quickly. Okay. So can you smell that already? I can smell it from here. So smell that. Yes, great smell. So we're just gonna let that cook and kind of simmer a little bit, thicken just a tad. Okay, so we want to make the stir fry. Now the stir fry, we're gonna make a peanut sauce with a little bit of kick to it. And I want to talk a little bit about the vegetables we have here. We have pretty close to rainbow. So for the sauce, I'm just going to grab bowl and we are going to add, so we've got peanut butter. So anybody allergic to peanut butter? Okay, so you're gonna have to skip. I do have another sauce that uses, does not use peanut butter, but a lot of people like peanut butter. So I wanted to give you a sauce. I find most people. Notice how this is changing just a little bit, the color there. It's cooking, the fragrance is getting there. So, okay, we're gonna add a little bit of the coconut aminos. Remember, not the coconut or the liquid aminos. Has a little more salt. Coconut liquid aminos has a little less. And we're gonna add just a little bit of brown sugar.
You take the coconut in it. You make. You can use coconut in it.
You can use, what are you thinking of using, Bonnie?
No, with the coconut, can you taste the coconut in it?
No. No, it's just pretty popular because it's vegan too, where soy sauce technically is not vegan. So we're gonna add a little sriracha. So that's gonna give it a nice kick, just a little bit. Get the lowest sodium you can. So it does have a little sodium in there, but we're gonna use a little bit. A lime, remember you can squeeze the lime with the tongs there. So we're gonna add a little lime, about a tablespoon for a half of one. A little garlic, of course, give that some good flavor there. And then we're gonna add some, spices, garlic there, ginger, and some water to thin it out. So just stir that. Now it's not a ton of sauce because we're just using it to coat a little bit. So we just want to give it a little flavor. It's not like a huge amount. Okay, let me turn down the sauce. I think we're doing pretty good there. Actually, I'm gonna move it over here because we're doing our stir fry. So let's see if we could do that. Hopefully we can. We got 4 things going. I just realized that. We got all this going. You know what? I am going to use a whisk because whisk does better with peanut butter. There we go. There we go. Okay. So for the vegetables, first thing, mushrooms. If you want your mushrooms to stay longer, put them in a brown paper bag. If you're using them that day, it's fine in the plastic, whatever. But if it's going to be a couple days, put it in a brown paper bag. It keeps it much, much better. The broccoli here, this was damp. Damp paper towel is best with the broccoli. I'm going to just cut it up into florets, and you cut it close in for florets. We use more stem when we roast, so you can just keep cutting down a little bit till you get them they'll almost break down nicely. Sometimes you have to cut. This is Mother Nature, so there's no trick to getting them perfect. So, you know what? Let's do off this. We're good there. Okay, so got my broccoli. So we are just going to get started with doing, I do not have a wok. I'm just going to use a saute pan. So we're going to take that off. And I'm just going to do all the veggies. So we're going to start with our little bit of oil and swish that around. And we're going to go in order of things that take the longest to cook. So that would be the mushrooms. Just swirl that around a little bit. Put our mushrooms in. These are already sliced, washed. I washed them. Washing mushrooms, you can, I usually put a bowl of cold water, put them in and just do like, I'm a wash machine, just do like this, agitate it, and then lift them out pretty quick. I do not let them set. They are 90% water. You can use a paper towel to wipe them off, but I gave that up many years ago, okay, for all the mushrooms I do. So it's just much easier. And if they have a little bit of stuff from the ground, they're usually grown indoors nowadays and, you know, dirt indoors. So, and they're being cooked. So I'm not really concerned about that. So we're going to first cook that. What's that?
I'm glad you do that. That's sort of what I just thought.
Yeah, I just do like a dishwasher. I mean, a washing machine.
If you try to clean it perfectly, it just mutilates the mushroom.
I know, it takes too
Yeah.
long. So snow peas, I think, no, carrots, we're gonna go next. I did the these kind of disc carrots just because they're thinner. You could throw in at the last minute, maybe some shredded carrots, but we're doing the ones, these are thinner. You could chop up your own, but we're trying to show you ways you can do it quicker. So we're gonna add that in.
And they make frozen sliced carrots.
They probably do. I don't know. Frozen sliced carrots, they might.
Did you just slice those things?
I cut them a little bit. They are
Okay.
from the bag. I don't think I
Okay.
still have the bag, but yeah, they were from the bag at Hy-Vee. So, and I already steamed these guys so that I can throw those in the last minute because my pan, actually, if I do a full recipe, I don't even have hardly a big enough pan here to do it. So you can do half the recipe. Half the recipe is 2 servings. So I do that frequently. Snow peas here, you know, you just cut off the ends and the ends. Just group them together, line them up, cut. Line them up, cut. Don't me catch you doing them individually, okay? Nobody has time for that. I do like to cut them a little more, especially here, because that way you can taste them all. So put those in next. And then we'll throw in our broccoli and then edamame. So here's edamame. This is a great protein. These are kind of basic, bland tasting. They're not off tasting. There's not much taste. That's why they're great to throw in. They're green, so they just kind of, you don't even know they're there hardly. So this is, make sure no salt added there. So this is shelled. You can get them in the shell and you can use those as a snack. In my foundational class, we taste those with them. So we're going to add these at the last minute with my red pepper here. So let me just add this. Stir this a little bit. Our broccoli will turn a little bit darker as it cooks and steams there. And let me check our, I don't even have a real fork here. So we're gonna grab one of these and see how we do. I could probably just use the knife, but let's see how we're doing here. That's pretty close to done, so we'll be done on time. Let me see, not well, we're a little late. So let me check the doneness here. Oh, good, we're good. I started that a little late, but also tip, farro, if you soak it overnight, you reduce it by like 10 minutes of cooking time. So just cover it in water and then drain it off. I put it in water while I was prepping this morning. I knew that would cut some of my cooking time off, thank goodness. So since I was a little bored. So, okay, so let's see how we're doing here. This cooks pretty quick, guys. So I think we're ready to throw the rest in and then just heat it through. I'm going to throw the rest of the veggies that I steamed this morning here.
And I know you would have to say that.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Thank you for catching me because I would have forgotten. So, thank you.
So I just set out the edamame. I knew it would be, get up to temperature. I mean, it frozen, you might thaw it a little bit in the microwave, but see how beautiful that is? So let me grab a plate for you.